Hey, HappiCrew, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are doing the Kizuna Clash review with my team, showing you what we're going to be doing to get through this Kizuna Clash level 31+. So let's go ahead and get right into this. This is going to be the regular bosses that we're going to cover in this video right here. So let's go ahead and start off with the Luffy and Law Dex variation. So if we get the quest guide real quick, see what the gimmicks are. So they want you to use fighter-driven cerebral characters. They'll get the biggest buffs. On stage 2, you get a lot of nasty debuffs here. So you get 6 turns of blind, basically, a bunch of turns of burn. You get your slots all turned to block, NAO, which is just kind of normal stuff, and then there is a tap timing barrier there of 2 turns. So nothing kind of crazy to get through here. How we're basically getting through stage 2 is we're going to go ahead and use the Corazon special there. The ability of this Corazon is twofold. So for this boss, he gets rid of the sound effects, the blindness. For the next boss, he'll actually get rid of the attack down. So he works really well to get rid of that the blindness that gets put to you there. We're also going to use one of our Dofi specials here. He'll help get rid of the burn that's on there. And also, in addition to getting rid of the blindness, that Corazon unit will actually help also get all our orbs to empty, which will just help make us do a bunch of damage. If you have any orbs, I think, except for empty or good, or I think even Wano, if you have any orbs except those, you get 90% attack down, so you don't want to have to deal with that. It's just a pain to just deal with. So yeah, just make sure that when you do that slot change, if you do a slot change, that you're using either Wano orbs, good orbs, or empty orbs. Otherwise, you're going to have a huge attack down, not be able to get to that boss. So that is Battle 2. Let's go ahead and look at 31+ for Battle 3. So going into there, he has to use your immunity stuff. Weakness is cerebral, so I won't be using cerebral characters there. You get 15 turns of top row despair. Now, luckily for our team here, we're going to have our Dofi, who will be able to help take care of that. He has a captain ability that will turn that despair into an attack boost for yourself, which is awesome. And one of the benefits of having Dofi as well on here, the Don Quixote Pirates, is that they have a super type, and that super type will get activated when your slots are empty, for example, like what Corazon does on stage 2. And that will help you get rid of the next gimmicks that you see here, which is basically the special bind. So he's going to give you a bunch of special bind on your top and middle rows. Using the super type that you got activated from stage 2, go ahead and use that, get his special ready, and then you can use one Dofi special on this stage to go ahead and get rid of the special bind for the rest of your whole team. You do also get some special reverse, so we're going to have to deal with that. A bunch of units you can use in here. Some people use Crocodile. In this case, we're using Vegapunk just because he gives it to all. He's a cerebral character, and he'll have type advantage against the final boss there. And he just also can give either an attack boost, a orb boost, a chain multiplicative boost, or a base attack boost, depending on how much you want to do. So a lot of different options with that guy. So he just works out really well for getting that special reverse for the whole team, and he can reverse 10 on himself when he gets reversed, so more than enough to have to deal with that gimmick, which is pretty awesome. Next, you do get 7 turns of Psy Int type bind. We don't have any Psy Int characters on this team. If you do, I recommend bringing some supports that can help get rid of those, especially Straw Hat Pirates have a lot of supports that can help get rid of 2 turns of bind on multiple characters. So with sockets, you only have to get rid of 4, so it's really not that crazy to do, so you can go ahead and do that. There is a 3-turn hit barrier, 8 hits, so not crazy in the amount of hits, but just annoying to deal with. So to get rid of that, we're going to go ahead and use this Koala and Robin unit there. Make sure you are using the Dex variation, though, so you don't get the bind, the nasty bind stuff there. But they're just really good in the fact that they can give you the 3-turn duration to get completely rid of it, which is awesome. And then they also give some slot effect boosts as well to cerebral characters, who a lot of these characters are. So it just works out fantastic for what we're trying to do there. Getting towards the bottom of the list, which is great, you do get limited taps, so you just want to make sure that you're tapping. In this case, I'm going to tap with both Dofis, Corazon, and one other unit. And then the last thing on here that we have to worry about, really, outside the Intimidate, which we'll be able to kind of get rid of that just with what we have, is that 6 turns defense up. So you can really use any character that will give you the 6 turns defense up. So if you got the new Anniversary Zoro, you can throw him on there. But then again, if you do that, you have to worry about the bind, so just make sure you're kind of cognizant of that. In this case, we got the Elders, so I figured why not use them, right? We have the Mars, who has a type advantage against the boss there. And then we have Nejuro here, who gives 6 turns of defense up gone when you use the special, when you use the character special. So works out really perfect, to be honest. So figured, why not? So yeah, that gets rid of all the gimmicks for the first fight. Nothing kind of too crazy there. Obviously, you gotta watch out for the changing slots. That's obviously one of the nasty stuff that's there. But yeah, as long as you kind of make sure you're kind of planning ahead for that, it's pretty easy to get through that. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into the Psy variation of what we're taking. I think the Psy, in my opinion, is a little bit harder just because there's so many debuffs in Stage 3, just depending what you do. So take a quick look at the guide here. So they want you to use Strength, Quick, or Int characters. Of course, the weakness for this guy will be Driven, so if you can use Driven of those varieties, you'll have much better luck. On Stage 2, you do get 6 turns of Despair, 6 turns of Attack Down, 5 turns of a Chain Multiplier Max there, NAO, just normal stuff there. So the tricky part is they want you to have the Bellamy unit to get rid of not only the Chain Lock here, but also to help with the slot bind that you get on the 3rd stage. We don't have him. We only were able to put Corazon, so we kind of have to jimmy around this a little bit. So to get rid of the Despair, we are using the captain ability of the Don Quixote pilots to take care of that. Again, that'll give you a little bit of attack boost. As I mentioned before, we're using the Corazon unit to go ahead and get rid of the 6 turns attack down. And then for the Chain Lock there, again, I'm just going to use the Mars unit here. He just works out so well. He gets rid of 10 turns of that. Give you a bunch of other little debuffs here too, which is just kind of okay, but that's not really what we're using him for. We're using him to get rid of that that nasty Chain Lock there. And then to get rid, or to work around the issue of having slot bind, because if you go into battle number 3 and you don't have the slot bind, you get a 98 turn 1.1 times slot bind on your team, which is just horrible. So to get around that on Stage 2, in addition to using Corazon and Mars, we're also going to use, again, our MVP here of Robin and Koala. Make sure you have it on the this time the Robin version, so she has the type advantage against the final boss there. And again, it just works out so well because basically they will give you a 3-turn 2.5 times slot boost for Int, Dex, or Cerebral. As you can see here, everyone on this team, minus the Mars unit there, is going to fit that Cerebral blueprint, so it would work out really well there. So that's kind of how we're going to get around that on Stage 2, and also take care of the slot issues on Stage 3. I'm not going to go through every single interrupt here, but you can't set chain multipliers, you can't remove NAO. If you try to do anything with damage reduction, threshold, damage nullification, you just get all these nasty debuffs. So it's really tough. They want you to get everything done in the spot before, in battle number 2, to kind of get set up for battle number 3. So going into battle number 3, again, they get immunity and a weakness to Driven, so you just want to make sure that you're kind of trying to build Driven teams as much as you can. You do get a special use limiter, so luckily with my maxed out Dofi, I won't have to worry about this at all. That will get taken away. Again, if you don't have the slot effect already in place when you come into the stage, you'll get this 1.1 times max, which is just god-awful. You don't want to have to deal with that, so just make sure you are getting around that. Then you get the chain multiplier issues that you see there. So luckily, I believe with some of the abilities of the Dofi unit there, you'll get some boost there. You can always throw some additional supports on your team to get it higher than 2.0, but 2.0 really isn't that low. But yeah, you can throw like a 0.6 or 0.7 support on your team easily if you want to bump this up, or a number of the units have the ability to give that chain multiplier minimum for multiple turns there. And I believe Dofi even does that in his special. Let me just check that real quick. He does not himself. Okay, so you're just going to want to make sure that when you that they throw support on this team. I'll throw probably one of the supports on here. That would just give like a 0.6 boost, and that will be more than enough to kind of get through the 2.0 debuff that's there. So nothing kind of too crazy. Really not worried about that. Then you get the Intimidate. So obviously they want you to do base attack stuff. So again, they want you to kind of set this up on the previous stage, but nothing kind of too crazy. If you have int slots, you get your damage reduced by 90%, so just be careful with that. Luckily, with the empty slots that we'll be getting and things like that, we shouldn't have to worry too much about int slots. We only have, I think, just the Robin is the only actual int unit on this team. Again, Corazon and Dofi should do Rambo damage, so yeah, not too worried about the int slots there. We should be able to get it around them pretty easily. Going to the rest of the gimmicks here. So you do get a threshold of 6 turns for 99%. So of course you got to get rid of that. In this case, how we're getting rid of that is the Lucci Zoro unit that you see here. He'll take care of 6 turns himself, which is awesome, and kind of get through that without us having to do anything kind of special to get through. And then lastly, you do take a, sorry, let me scroll down a little bit. You do take some damage here. I think they just put the damage twice there because the 60,000 was from the previous thing here. So I really think it's really just the 100,000 damage that you're taking there. I think they just put a little typo in there. So basically you have to deal with a death hit and a lot of burn. So the Dofi leaders will both take care of the 11 turns of burn, so you have to worry about that at all. In terms of the death hit, the Corazon unit actually has the ability in his special to carry that over, so that you don't have to kind of really worry too much. You get the 80% damage reduction for 3 turns. So if you use this in stage 2, you'll have that carry over into this final stage, and you'll be able to kind of get through that really well. So that being said, that should get through all the gimmicks of the bosses. We'll run through these in just a second. Kizuna should be going live in just a minute, so we'll kind of record that so you can see in action kind of how we did each of the specials. And then if you have any questions there, you can see how we did it as we're going through the actual stages. But this should get us through level 31 pretty quickly. Just one quick note here on the death hit of this variation of the boss. He will end up swapping your middle right character with your captain. So just want to make sure that whatever character is in there is a character that can boost the whole crew, right? In this case, I'm putting Corazon there just because he's boosted. He'll give a big boost to cerebral characters, so that's who the majority of the team are. So yeah, it's a little bit less damage than Dofi gives, but he'll still be able to pretty easily, do that kill after the revive there. So just keep note, whatever unit is in your middle right is going to swap to your captain. You want to make sure that he's or that they are good enough to be able to go ahead and kill the HP when that happens. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. As I said, we're going to get into the playthrough videos right now. Show you guys how we did this. Hope you enjoyed it, and let's get right to the battles. Alright, so now that we're live, let's go ahead and take on the first battle versus the Dex Boss. We talked about the team already. Nothing here has changed. Exact team we talked about in the prep video for what we want to do. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This is level 13. I haven't got up to level 31 plus, but this will work for 31 plus. Just make sure you do the steps that I mentioned on here. So we'll go ahead and choose a friend captain Dofi there just to help us out. He's instrumental in this for both the ability to get rid of the burn on stage 2, as well as get rid of some debuffs on stage 3 as well. So first stage, we're just going to go ahead and tap, kill the turtles. Nothing kind of too fancy there. Don't worry too much about slots. We're going to use Corazon, and he's going to give us empty slots, so we don't have to worry about getting any matching slots. And plus the debuff on the second stage with the slot effect change will make it so if you don't have 1 or 2 different buffs, it will give you 9% attack down. So again, stage 2, we want to just use 2 specials, one being the Corazon special. He's going to take care of those block orbs. He's getting rid of the, I believe, it's attack down that he just got rid of for this stage, and that will help us to be able to basically get through this without any problems. We're going to use 1 Dofi special here, our friend Captain Dofi, and then at that point, it's just tapping. There is a barrier on there, but it's only a 2-turn perfect barrier, so if you have any ships that help with getting perfects, that will just make your life a lot easier to get through there. Plenty of damage, you won't have to even worry about that. Going into stage 3, it's pretty simple again to get through this one. Basically, for the special rewind, we're going to go ahead and use the Vegapunk. He reverses the special verse on himself by 10 turns to make it through the round, so it works perfect. And he can give everyone either an attack boost, an orb boost, or some increase to their base attack. So we're going to go ahead and just choose an attack boost. Why not? Use the super type of the Captain Dofi to be able to get rid of that special bind on himself. Use the special to get rid of the special bind on everyone else. Eventually, when it gets to the higher levels, if there's a barrier, we'll be able to use the special here of the Robin and Koala to get rid of that barrier. Haven't got that high yet, so the barrier's not there, but just know that you will be using this for there. And then last, to get rid of the 6 turns of increased defense, we're going to go ahead and use Mars here. We have the support Nashuro on him, and he's going to basically get rid of that for us, which is why these supports on these elders are absolutely awesome. And then at that point, it's a 1-tap. You can see we did so much damage that we're going to be able to go way past 30, not really have to worry about taking on this boss here. So real easy if you have both Dofi and the Corazon. And like I said, some of the supports here aren't really that difficult to replace. The Vegapunk, we could just replace anyone who gives a 1-turn special cooldown to the whole crew. And for some of those other units that are on there, you can replace them sort of relatively easily, minus obviously having at least one friend Captain Dofi is really the key there to get through that stage. So going into the second battle, which is against the Psy variation. So in the video yesterday, I had mentioned that you could put a support on here to increase the chain multiplier. I forgot that as part of Corazon's special ability, he will actually help you with giving a chain boost for 3 turns, so carry onto into the final stage there. So you actually don't even have to worry about that. So I'm not going to add a support onto here. I'm going to keep it the exact same way that we had seen previously in terms of the team building effect there, and just leave it exactly like this. Now this is a little bit different in here, where instead of using Dofi on stage 2, you're gonna actually use both on stage 3, because eventually you're gonna get a bunch of turns of the burn on the final stage. I think right now it's only 7 if I remember correctly, so 1 Dofi is more enough to actually get through there currently, but once you get to 31 plus, you're gonna have a bunch of burn to get rid of, and Dofi's gonna be the one to go ahead and do that for you. So on stage 1 with the turtles, we're just gonna kind of tap and get through them. Very similar to what we did for the previous battle there, nothing kind of too special. And stage 2 is really where the sequence order is kind of important, because on stage 3, you get that slot debuff of the 1.1 time if you don't get a slot boost active on stage 2. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that on stage 2, using a special to give you an ore boost, otherwise you're going to have a nasty time there on stage number 3. So going into here, in the previous battle it was the blindness that the Corazon got rid of. In this battle, it's the attack down that Corazon gets rid of. So we'll go ahead and use Corazon. He'll get rid of that attack down for us. We'll go ahead and use Mars here. He gets rid of 10 turns of the chain limiter, so that will make it really easy to kind of burst through that. Again, he'll also give us slots that actually have tandem instead of empty. Again, doesn't really matter. There's no debuff on this stage for that. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and use the Robin and Viola unit, Robin and Koala unit again, who will end up giving you that ore boost for 3 turns, so it'll last through into that final stage, so you don't have to take that nasty debuff there. Then it's just a simple 1-tap, tons of damage. Again, we'll be able to get through this stage without any problems all the way through the end of the event. On stage, the final stage here, this is the tricky part. You do have to take a little bit of a death hit. It's I think 100k fixed damage. Luckily with the Corazon, with his reduction carrying through from his special on stage 2, you can see we took like hardly any damage, which doesn't really even matter there. And from that point forward, basically all we're going to do is go ahead and use the Dofi specials. We'll use the Lucci special, and then you'll see that after we use those, that we'll have to deal with a death mechanic where he swaps the character that's in the middle right with the captain, which is why we have the Corazon unit here. He ends up giving, not a great buff, but at least some damage for cerebral units, and since the team is mostly made up of those kind of units, we'll just basically be able to do just a ton of damage there. So we're just going to do 1 hit here, just to go ahead and kill Law and Dofi, get that swap, and then when the revive happens, we'll just do 1 single hit, and we'll be in absolutely excellent shape to kill. Now, he does blow away one of your characters at random, so that's kind of just a bummer to deal with, but it's not the end of the world, right? You can just tap with one of your captains, and boom, you do more than enough damage to kind of get through the content. So that's going to wrap up this video here. This is how we were able to take on both the Dex and the Psy Boss for this event. Like I said, I think the interrupts are the biggest issue in this fight against the Psy Boss, so I think that will be the tougher of the two. So if you can get rid of all those nasty interrupts, like removing Threshold or removing or changing slots and things like that, you'll be in a good shape. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully your Kizuna goes really well. There are a bunch of units I've seen out there for other content streamers. So of course Stump has some videos out there, Totsuki has some videos, Bellagio also has some videos, so make sure you check them all out. A lot of great team building there that went into that, and that'll help you get through if you didn't pull all the latest boosters there. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck on your Kizuna grind, and until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.